I once watched a pile of broken wood scream without making a sound. It didn't move, didn't rattle, didn't flash red lights like those hostile anomalies we all feared, but I swear to whatever God is listening, it screamed. The air around it felt wrong, like it was holding its breath. Some called it a haunted chair. Others called it a failed experiment. But me? I called it a tragedy wrapped in splinters. A quiet ghost with no voice, only memory. When I first saw it, it looked like construction trash someone forgot to clean up after a war. Nails bent like claws. Oak shards sticking out like ribs. And yet, it sat perfectly still, like it knew it didn't belong anywhere anymore. Back then, I was just another junior logistics tech stuck in Site-08. Not exactly the dream job. I signed up hoping to catalog dangerous artifacts, not sweep floors next to sentient mulch. The official term was SCP-1609, but no one ever called it that outside the files. Around the site, it had a bunch of nicknames: the Scrap Ghost, Timber Tantrum, Nail Trap, and my personal favorite, Angry IKEA. Everyone had jokes, until it stopped being funny. See, the first thing they told me was, don't wear anything brown or gray that looks too official when you walk into Warehouse 08. At first, I thought it was a prank, until Jenkins, poor guy, wore an old GOC jacket he found in storage. 10 seconds in and he was bleeding on the floor, coughing up splinters. Security had to pull him out with a riot shield. The thing didn't like certain clothes. More specifically, it didn't like uniforms. It remembered uniforms. Especially the ones from the people who tore it apart. At this point, I should explain, SCP-1609 wasn't always like this. There's an old photo in the Foundation archives, yellowed and grainy, showing a single wooden lounge chair. Ordinary. Peaceful. No glowing eyes, no ominous carvings, no evil aura. Just a chair. That's what it used to be. Apparently, if someone nearby was exhausted, it would teleport behind them like a helpful old ghost saying, "Here, take a seat." That was its whole job, offering rest to the tired. And you know what? That's kind of beautiful, isn't it? But that was before the GOC got to it. You know them, Global Occult Coalition. Less, contain and protect, more, kill it with fire. When they found the chair, they didn't study it. They didn't even sit on it. They threw it in a woodchipper. Literally. A damn woodchipper. Turned it into a pile of rage, nails, and sorrow, and that's the thing that showed up one day at our Foundation gate, all on its own, like a dog returning to the last place it felt safe. No one knew what to do. It didn't knock. It didn't break in. It just appeared. Right there in Warehouse 08, refusing to leave. And believe me, we tried to move it. Every time we wheeled it out, it teleported straight back. Sometimes across the hallway. Sometimes across the country. Always back to the same dusty corner of that warehouse, like a ghost trying to haunt the only room it could still remember. You might think this sounds like a horror story, but for me, it felt more like guilt. Guilt in wood and metal. And maybe that's why I started talking to it. I know, weird habit, chatting with a pile of junk. But I swear, some days when I swept the floors and muttered about Site-08 cafeteria food, it listened. Not with ears, not in any conscious way, but with presence. That room never felt empty, even when it was. The thing is, it never attacked me. Never even moved when I was near. I think it could tell I wasn't a threat, or maybe it just liked hearing someone speak without fear. We even planted flowers around it. Someone from research suggested it might help soothe the anomaly. We covered the wood scraps under thick rugs and placed flower pots on top, like dressing an old wound with petals. And oddly enough, it helped. It stayed calmer. Less twitchy. Still, there were moments. Like when a maintenance guy brought in a power drill that sounded too much like a woodchipper. The entire room went cold. Every nail in the pile lifted slightly, like porcupine quills. We got him out in time, but no one forgot the look on that guy's face, or the fact that SCP-1609 didn't go back to sleep for 2 days. That's the thing about anomalies like this. They don't just test our procedures, they test our humanity. Some objects we lock away. Others, we fail. And 1609? I think we failed it before we even knew what it was. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The worst part came later, on the day it disappeared. They logged it as a minor event, but I still remember the exact time, 2:47 a.m. The pile was gone. 1 minute it was there, tucked neatly beneath a patchwork of lilies and dust, and the next, nothing. No breeze. No sound. Just the quiet hum of the overhead lights and that hollow space where it used to be. Most anomalies, when they vanish, we call a lockdown. This time, no alarms were triggered. Almost like it slipped out of our reality, unnoticed, unbothered. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was afraid it would come back angry, but because I felt like I'd lost something. And that was the first time I went looking for its old file, the one the higher-ups buried in the restricted archive. Took a favor or two, but I got it. A manila folder with a faded black and white photo stapled to the inside. There it was, the chair. No violence, no glowing red warnings. Just an elegant oak recliner sitting alone in a park. Looked like something you'd find on a grandmother's porch. I couldn't believe it. That pile of twisted timber I used to sweep around was once that. The file told the rest. The chair would appear when someone was tired, really tired. It would just blink into existence behind them, inviting them to sit. People described it like being hugged without arms. Resting there made the body feel lighter, the mind clearer. One woman reportedly cried when she sat, saying she hadn't felt that safe in years. Can you imagine that? An anomaly that didn't stalk you, didn't curse you, didn't scream Latin in your face, but just gave you a break. The story should have ended there. But then came the GOC. I don't want to speak too harshly. I know some folks think they're doing the right thing, protecting humanity by wiping anomalies off the map. But what they did to SCP-1609 wasn't containment. It was butchery. They didn't understand what it was, didn't care to. They saw an object with teleportation and assumed threat. So, they trapped it. Caught it while it was dormant. And ran it through an industrial woodchipper. It should have died. But it didn't. That's when the strange behavior started. Every shred, every nail, every fiber, still moved together. Still vanished and reappeared. The chair hadn't just been destroyed. It had been scattered, and now every piece carried its memory. Its pain. The file said several GOC personnel were killed during the aftermath. They couldn't explain it. The scraps had no motor function, no power source. But some of them ended up with oak spikes driven clean through their ribs. One officer reportedly screamed, "It's in the vents," before being crushed by an avalanche of wood that fell from nowhere. That's when SCP-1609 vanished entirely from GOC containment. No trace. They assumed it was neutralized. It wasn't. Weeks later, it showed up in our facility. No breaches, no anomalies detected. Just a pile of familiar debris, quietly waiting in our storage unit. We didn't even realize it was anomalous until the janitor tried to sweep a plank out of the way, and it disappeared in front of him. Next day, it was back. So were the others. Perfectly assembled, every nail, every splinter exactly as before. Like it was rebuilding itself. Like it wanted to be whole again. After the incident with Jenkins and the mistaken GOC uniform, we started putting precautions in place. No one entered with work boots. No jackets with patches. All maintenance tools had to be hand-operated, no motors, no drills. If the pile heard something that reminded it of the chipper, well, let's just say it didn't like being reminded of the day it died. But the weirdest part? It liked flowers. That's not a metaphor. Someone from botany thought it might help to create a calming environment, so they started lining the floor with soft moss and planting small potted roses around it. One in turn even suggested hiding the pile under a decorative rug. Seemed ridiculous. But it worked. The pile calmed. It didn't disappear as often. No more nail spikes in the walls. One day, I knelt beside it, adjusting a flower pot, and I swear I felt something, not movement, exactly, but intention. Like it was pleased. Like it understood we were trying. That was the first time I stopped seeing it as an object and started thinking of it as someone. And that, maybe, is the most dangerous kind of anomaly. Not the ones that breathe fire or melt time. But the ones that remember what they were, and mourn what they became. I kept visiting it. I don't know why, maybe guilt, maybe curiosity. I started bringing my lunch into Warehouse 08. Sitting near the pile, just talking about nothing, weather, my terrible coffee, the fact that Jenkins survived and now only eats soup. The usual small talk you'd share with a coworker. Except this coworker didn't have a mouth. Or lungs. Or limbs. But somehow, it felt like it listened. One morning, though, it was gone again. This time, the room didn't feel empty, it felt hollow. Like something had been torn out, but the echo of it still clung to the walls. I stayed late that night, hoping it would come back. And around 3:12 a.m., it did. The whole pile returned, gently, almost politely. Like a guest wiping its feet before entering your home. And I swear, it looked smaller. Some of the wood was darker, older. As if something inside it was wearing out. I walked up, knelt beside it, and quietly said, "Welcome home." No one else was there. But I think it heard me. After that, we tried harder. The Foundation, I mean. We restructured the warehouse, turned it into a kind of garden. Not flashy. Just soft light, warm colors, plants, music without words. A peaceful place. Every detail meant to remind it, you are safe here. We even assigned personnel to complement the flower arrangements. Yes, seriously. The official protocol read, verbal appreciation of ambient decor may positively reinforce SCP-1609's cooperative behavior. Translation, tell it it's pretty and it won't stab anyone. And it worked. It stayed calm. It stopped disappearing. For weeks, maybe months, it was peaceful. But we never really forgot what it had been through. See, some anomalies hurt people because they're dangerous. Others hurt because they've been hurt. And SCP-1609? It was the second kind. A victim that got turned into a threat, because someone chose fear over understanding. One day, I brought in a new recruit to show them the site. Told them the usual, no machines, no uniforms, no sudden noises. They asked, is this really necessary? I mean, it's just a pile of junk. That's when I realized how easy it is to forget. To look at the remains and not see what they used to be. I didn't answer him. I just sat down on the edge of the rug, beside the flowers, and whispered, "You're not junk." And for a moment, just one, I thought I felt a breeze. Indoors. Windowless room. Still air. But that breeze? It felt like a sigh. Not of pain. Not of rage. Just relief. I left the Foundation not long after that. Transferred out. Filed my resignation. The usual story, burnout, ethics fatigue, a growing discomfort with how many things we locked up without fully understanding. But SCP-1609? It stayed. Last I heard, it's still in Warehouse 08. Still lying there, beneath the lilies. Still teleporting back every time they try to move it. Still waiting. Not to escape. Not to destroy anything. Just waiting to be needed again. You might not believe in ghosts. But I do. Not the kind that rattle chains or slam doors. The kind that sit quietly, tucked away in corners of forgotten rooms. Ghosts made of wood, and memory, and pain. Ghosts like SCP-1609. And if you're ever tired, really tired, and you find yourself sitting down without realizing how the chair got there, be kind. It might just be him.